Wizards Postgame Live.
Welcome to Postgame Live. Friday night in Capital One Arena, the New York Knicks visiting D.C. after a strong performance against the Bulls. Tonight, another kind of gritty, grindy game. Wizards were up 3 at the half. Unfortunately, down the stretch, not enough time to turn this into a dub for D.C. So the final score, as you see right there, 112 to 108. Kyle Kuzma with a season high 40 points, albeit in a loss. That's the coach, Jimmy Patos. I'm Wes Hall. Thanks for hanging out with us after the game. Coach, a lot to be discussed in this one. You and I kind of talked off camera about some of our thoughts, but I'd like you to share with the people your assessment of tonight's game.
It was a gritty comeback by us. You don't give up. We did not have a great start to the second half, okay? Rui was 0 for 5 in the first half, but he didn't give up. Porzingis clearly stronger. He didn't give up. Kuzma carried the weight. No, Monte Morris hurt tonight. Jalen Brunson had 33 points. Our starting point guard who doesn't turn the ball over didn't get to play. This is welcome, but we need Bradley Beal back. We all know we're waiting. Bradley Beal back might be back against the Knicks next Wednesday. But right now, got to go in the locker room. Did a lot of things good. Got to get the Warriors here. Warriors are coming in MLK Day, big special day. Last year, beat the Sixers on MLK Day. You got to find a way to beat the Warriors to finish out this homestand. We're still chasing a bunch of teams. Everything's fine. When we're healthy, we are fine. It's a lot of bodies the Wizards didn't have tonight, Wes.
Indeed, Coach.
Too many, including a starting point guard where everything, runs through. It's just not enough live bodies. And KP looked a little rusty coming back. And that's a feisty, healthy Knicks team, a very hungry Knicks team to make the playoffs. A really good effort. And you're a three-pointer away, and you played the end of the game perfectly. You just didn't have a 3-go, and the Knicks come away from a victory. But just get the win on Monday, and we're good.
One of the things I'd like to adjust for Monday, looking at the box score, Wizards shot 13 for 42 from 3, 31%. We talked about the struggles in the first half. That was 6 for 22. I said it off camera, but I'll say it here. My opinion is sometimes when it's not dropping from deep, you attack the rim. You put them in foul trouble. Same thing worked for us when we were playing against the Bulls. Why were they not able to make that adjustment?
Well, Chris Miller pointed it out. It's his fault. No, I'm just kidding. Miller pointed it out. This is a healthy big team with Mitchell Robinson and Randall, and they kind of won the battle of the Knicks won the battle in the paint. I thought the play of the game was when Gafford went out. I'm a huge Gafford fan, as are you. Gafford protects Porzingis. He's our tough guy. He went out, and the Knicks started attacking the paint. Once again, that's another health issue. Gafford's now out. Okay, he played the last 17 seconds, but he didn't play in the end of the third or the fourth quarter, and the Knicks exploited it. And they went inside and got a lot of and-ones. That's okay. We'll get better. We'll adjust to that. But Gafford lost. You can prepare because Monte Morris isn't going to play. We know Wright's going to play. Goodwin was fine. Rui got going. But you expected Gafford to be in there battling, and that's why we were up at halftime. Unfortunately, him going out. And KP, he just looked a little, I know he had a bruised rib and everything. It didn't look like he was totally comfortable. He still ended up with 21 points. What Kuzma did, I hope everybody knows out there how well this guy's playing. He deserves to be an all-star. 40 points tonight, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, playing hard, playing all the hard. That guy deserves to be an all-star.
And by the way, today on a Friday night, those all-star votes count 3 times their regular amount. So I always get that vote in. Right now, I want to bring in Chris and Christy on postgame and get their thoughts on it. Guys, great call as always. I know there's a concert that's about to happen behind you, so I'll ask this quickly. Your assessment on tonight's game.
It's go-go music. You know how we get down.
Pop the pan. What did you guys think for tonight, Christy? Go ahead.
Hey, listen, I thought that Washington really had a good effort. I thought they had good energy. Thought they were scrambling well defensively. They kept them off the boards, too. They kept New York from getting a ton of second-chance points. Only 11 second-chance points tonight when they averaged just under 18, which is tops in the league. So when you have that kind of effort on the scout, you're taking things away. And one possession could go either way for you. But when you look at the big picture of what Washington presented tonight, I thought that they hustled hard, but I thought that they also got better as the game went. And I thought that Porzingis got himself going, and I think that was really an invaluable asset for the Wizards tonight.
I'm absolutely encouraged. Obviously you want the team to win, but to fight like that against this Knicks team that is whole, give them credit. They're a good basketball team. Bradley Beal, I want to see him healthy. Wednesday night in the Garden. Jimmy, I agree with you 100%. But the Wizards scored 32 points in the fourth quarter. Porzingis and Kuz scored 30 of those 32. Only Hachimura scored those other 2 points. Another thing that really kind of stood out to me, guys, is you look at the paint points. I thought the Knicks were really good down low. That Randall dunk, I'm with you, Jimmy, really kind of set the tone of physicality. they outscored the Wizards 50-28 in paint points. But again, I'm encouraged because I like the fight tonight.
Yes. Yeah.
But I want to see Washington whole Wednesday in the Garden. Then ask me about when they're whole, we're whole, who wins that matchup?
Same.
Indeed, and it seems like, guys, just correct me if I'm wrong, we know that there was a buzz coming out of that Chicago game when Kyle was clutching, clutch Kuz. But then tonight, 40 points, as Coach gave you all the stats, his performance, he seemed like he was willing and determined to not lose this game to the Knicks tonight, Chris.
Well, he was fantastic. His competitive fire was at an all-time high. I mean, Kyle Kuzma going for a career-high 40. He is aggressive-minded, and he is purposeful with every move that he made tonight. There were no wasted movements. Everything was calculated. His high basketball IQ was shining through on every single possession. Look at this pass. I mean, he was just getting the job done with those 7 assists as well. I mean, when you have 40 points and you can create other offense for your teammates and crash the glass, I mean, that's a complete game for Kyle Kuzma.
Coach,
I would be hard-pressed to ask. I'll ask you guys. I don't know of a better third option in the league right now, if that's what he is. Kyle Kuzma is so consistent. First of all, he's available, and he logs a lot of minutes. And when you know Beal's not out there and Porzingis wasn't out there against Chicago, he still has this unbelievable amount of confidence to take shots where many people would be like, no, I don't want that smoke. He wants that, and he wants the responsibility to be the best player out there on the floor. I talked about his old school game of having hook shots and spin moves and shooting from distance. Yeah, he's making everyone in the country take notice of him. The second batch of votes came out. He's still 7th. But I think more and more people are recognizing that this dude's in a contract year, and he's playing like he's trying to get a bag.
Absolutely, and to your point, Chris, I was listening to a radio interview of Monte Morris, who's a great friend, obviously, from 2nd grade of Kyle Kuzma, and he said about that dramatic shot against Chicago, he said Kuz could be 0 for 20. From the floor and still take that next shot.
There's not a lot of guys in this league that go 0 for 20 going, oh, I'll pull from 30 feet.
And I thought that was interesting to hear from someone who knows him very well, that his confidence has never wavered, and you've seen that in him tonight.
Hey, guys, real quick, Kuz loves bright lights. Just look at his sweater.
Facts.
I can't wait to see him next Wednesday in the Garden.
On a night, Chris, on a bobblehead night.
No, it is.
By the way, Christy, are we doing treble funk? Is this the old chapter? Are we doing sardines? Go-go music? That's my era. I should be down there with you, Miller.
Go-go music is not going anywhere. First of all, that's a legendary situation.
Go-go music
legendary.
is DC. This is Chocolate City forever and ever. Chris and Christy, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Feel free to swing your chairs around. Say what? Yes,
we can go down, go listen to Sugar Bear and them.
Go watch the show. You got the best
Gotta get Monday. Hey, Miller, we're getting Monday. Gotta get Monday.
That's what it's all about.
Before I leave, real quick, Jimmy, I mean, you don't wear blue.
Come on, man.
Better than most, Jimmy.
For you, brother.
DMV, you don't wear light blue in the DMV. Jimmy, you know that better than anybody.
I'm going to let y'all have this argument
Help this one.
I need to talk basketball with Coach, so y'all can argue later. Chris and Christy, we'll see you guys Monday, taking on the Warriors. Coach, getting everybody riled up with your blue. I like your tie.
This is it. And then, hey, I was around. Look, I was a school in D.C. I coached at Carroll High School. I went to Catholic U. Then I worked at. I was here for the rise and the peak of go-go music. And it was wild because even B-More, no one else, Richmond, they didn't have it like we did. And we would go to the Ibex Club and the chapter. And it was, here's the thing, it was almost like a basketball mecca. Besides music, it was a combination basketball music. And I dove right in.
Sardines and pork and beans, baby. 12 o'clock. Party just don't stop. Let's get back to basketball before we end up.
You got to be happy with their effort. Chris is right.
Yeah.
We're down a lot. It just would have been nice to steal that win. I've said this before because they're right above us. Warriors and Steph come in. They just had a big win, beat them. But then you go back on a swing where you're going to play those teams, the Knicks and everybody who's right around you. Would have been nice to have it, but let's go get it Monday and then get back Wednesday against the Knicks. As Chris said, you need real deal Beal. We love this guy. We need him back.
I want to know about lessons learned, but while you think about that answer, I want to bring in Megan McPeak and get her thoughts. An assessment on the game tonight. Megan, this is another one of those kind of grind-out games where the Knicks, they don't play a beautiful style of basketball. They just kind of keep punching you as much as they can and wait for you to give up. What was your assessment of this game tonight?
Yeah, I thought it was the inside game, and it was just the sheer physicality with which the Knicks played with. And I asked the birthday boy, Coach Posey, about it at halftime, like, how do you combat that? And at the end of the day, like, you've got to take it to them. And I thought in the second half they did a better job of trying to take it to them, take it to the Knicks, I'm speaking to, than they did in the first half. Even though they had the lead at halftime, I think shots that fell in the first half didn't fall in the second half, as we saw, especially from beyond the arc. And I just thought that it was the physicality with which the Knicks played with that really overtook the Wizards in this one, especially in the second half. And you look at the points in the paint, you allow a team to score 50 points in the paint, it's going to be tough. And they did that using the physicality with which they play with.
And they did that on a night where Porzingis had 5 points in the first half, but then turns around and gives you 16 in the second half.
And Rui a six-man of the year candidate, instant offense. He had 0 in the first half.
Yeah, no, it's all about adjustments. But when I think about Porzingis, you said something poignant. You talked about that rib and, like, playing through that. He's a tall guy. Obviously, there's a lot of crowded people because you're the tallest dude in the court, so people are going to be in contact with you. What did you think about his second half? Not just the whole game, but his second half performance.
I thought he battled through it. And, Megan, you're around him more than I am every day. Like, I thought Porzingis gave it an honest effort, knowing without Monte Morris, without Beal, he sees Gafford go up. We're not going to win if Porzingis doesn't get a gamely, tough effort. And me and you, I always say this, Wes and I were here when he got traded for that night, and we said, if he plays, he's effective. And he has been on the court. But, Megan, what did you see? That's a gutty performance for him. I thought he was a little fragile there, but no quitting him at all.
No, that's the one thing I will say about, you know, a KP and a Kuz is even when they're banged up or not getting the calls they want, if you will, or the shot isn't falling, they still are going to try and find a way to have an impact. And the one thing I will say as well, too, when it comes to a rib injury, because I've experienced one in my earlier playing days, if you will. Now that I'm washed up, I don't count it anymore. But the biggest thing for me was taking those deep breaths. Like when you're running up and down the floor and you want to take that deep breath just to catch your breath, it's difficult when you've been hit in the rib because we don't know where what rib it was, where it was on his, you know, on his rib cage, how it was affecting his breathing, if it was affecting his breathing. And obviously the medical staff and himself felt okay to play tonight, or else they wouldn't have allowed him to play. And I also, you can't tell from looking at his uniform, I wouldn't be surprised if he had maybe some extra padding over that rib side that was affected by the hit that he took. But for me, when I got hit in the rib, it was taking those deep breaths. You feel like you're always trying to like catch your breath and like you never feel like you're really able to truly breathe. So I wonder if that played a role in any fatigue that he might have had. But I give him credit and respect to the fact that he got out there and tried to give it a go and gave it his best.
That's what is called being the consummate professional that he is, and we appreciate him for it because his team needs him. We need every win we can get. 18 on the season. Looking for more again on Monday against the Warriors. Megan, don't move because we got more basketball to talk about on this show. But I want to remind people, check this sweepstakes from the Wizards and Michelob Ultra. Yeah, DCR painted 2 courtside seats, and the team took them around the city. Some iconic locations. Hey, that's Harvey Grant. Fans could actually post a photo in them for a chance to sit in those painted seats courtside at a Wizards game. The winners also get to take the seats home with them. Stop by Dark Bar Deco for the next week where the seats are going to be on display for your chance to win. Coming up on the other side, head coach Wes Unseld Jr. at the post-game podium. Don't move. Welcome back to Wizards Post-Game Live. If you were in the arena tonight, the first 10,000 people there were able to get that Kyle Kuzma bobblehead. You saw him making an appearance all night long throughout the game. Again, the first 10,000 fans. However, here's Kyle Kuzma's thoughts on being a bobblehead.
That's what I do. I mean, I dress up. I wear different type of clothes. Some people think it's weird. You know, I like to express myself, and you know, I've done things in the past where a bunch of things go viral all the time. So, you know, something of this magnitude and you know, having a NBA team organization, you know, put marketing dollars behind me is just great. You know, it's a great feeling for sure.
Kyle Kuzma and that bobblehead that has gone viral once again. I will place him right here on the desk. Megan, he says he just does it. That's his thing. He goes viral for the personality, for the fashion. But on the basketball side, I'm knowing for a fact that social media is going to be going crazy tonight with a 40-point performance, win or loss. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Kuz that is so interesting and intriguing to me is that his joy, like when I do walk-offs with him, or I catch him in the hallway before a game, or I just chat with him, you know, when we're on the road, It's the joy with which he plays with. Like, no matter what happens in the game, he has joy because he understands the perspective of the fact that he is one of the best in the world to play this game. He's playing it at the highest level. And he's getting paid, to play the game he loves. And it's so interesting because on the flip side, Monte Morris, ahead of the game Monday, in practice on Sunday, he actually said something similar and like, remember your why. Because obviously, you know, coming into that game on Monday, they were struggling. Remember your why. Like, we're playing basketball and we're getting paid to do it. Like, remember why you fell in love with the game. And I feel like Kyle Kuzma plays with the love of the game literally on a nightly basis and just goes out there for 48 minutes between those 4 lines on 94 feet and just plays with joy. So, like, he's going to go viral with whatever he does because he's such an exuberant type of human being, but as well, too, a player. Like, you see him, you had the highlight a couple nights ago with Sticks, and there was the highlight of that, you know, clock winding down, and he said, like, let me take it, and it was from nearly half court. And then the smile across his face when he hit the shot. Like, he plays with so much joy, and that is what I truly can respect about him as a basketball player, no matter what goes or doesn't go viral.
What's crazy about it is, you know what he really wants? Megan, you know what it is? Coach, you know what it is. Bobbleheads are nice. He wants to take a trip to Utah this year. He wants to go to All-Star, Coach.
Don't forget, Utah's where it's all started. This is a guy from Michigan that was mad because Michigan and Michigan State in the Big Ten all of a sudden didn't recruit him. And you know what he said? Fine, I'll go to Larry Krystkowiak and I'll play in the Pac-12 in Utah. Oh, and we'll go to the Sweet 16, which is where they went last time they've been there. And Kyle Kuzma was why. Yeah, they had, you know, DeLon Wright was there and Porter. It was Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
Then he goes to Lakers and wins a championship. He's growing as a player. And okay, I like the fashion stuff. And he 40 points on bobblehead night. I had bobblehead night. We lost. They were throwing the bobbleheads at me. Okay, it wasn't pretty. But he had 40 points. I know Megan's laughing. No, they were. You got to win on bobblehead. The guy puts 40 points up. But his fashion icon is matched by his commitment to the game.
Yeah.
I'm old school.
Yeah.
I like the commitment to the game part. Then you can do the other stuff. He goes extra and he's playing hard.
Coach,
he's playing hard. He's playing all the energy and putting the time in.
Every coach I've ever played for said that exact same. You can do whatever you want to do as long as you do it on the court first.
And he's doing it times 2.
That's what it's about. Megan, we appreciate you. Go ahead, real quick.
I know you guys are going to let me go, but can I also say an impressive showing tonight as well, too? The Wizards only 8 turnovers and only 7 points off those turnovers. So that was a story coming into this game as of late was turnovers. They did a great job taking care of the ball tonight, especially without Monte Morris, as we talked about in the pregame. So respect to them for that.
Ball security a priority indeed. Let's go to head coach Wes Unseld Jr. at the post-game podium right now.
They played a pretty good pace. They got out and, you know, they benefited from fast break points. You know, I think floor balance wasn't great at times, and the urgency to get back. You know, some of those misses kind of spurred their, you know, offensive attack, especially in that third quarter. I think that got them going a little bit.
How about in the paint? The differential that they had is a big advantage.
Yeah, you know, they're going to play downhill. We talked about the one-on-one piece, the offensive rebounding piece. You know, it's all those layers that contribute to those, you know, points in the paint. But, you know, you get down 15, you're not shooting the ball well. You know, I was proud of the group that we were able to hang in there, get enough stops, make shots, you know, to at least make it a ball game and give ourselves a chance.
I understand why the Knicks piled up their 50 paint points, but what limited the Wizards' scoring in the paint tonight, did you think?
Well, I mean, you don't really have a huge advantage in pick and roll. You know, they're in a deep drop. So, you know, their style of play opens up the 3. And, you know, 42 threes for us is a lot. You know, sadly, we just didn't make enough of them. You know, I thought the vast majority were quality. You know, just and they're going to run you down. They're not going to just quit on it, but that's their style of play. They are a heavy paint, and they're going to force you to kick that ball out. And you got to make some of them loose them up.
I'm sure you want to watch the film, but what do you think the common theme was in terms of the transition points that they had? Was it effort, focus, just?
Well, at times we were crashing the glass. You know, we had Smalls going to the rim, trying to chase down rebounds at the detriment of our transition defense.
What did you think that you guys maybe could have done better against Brunson?
You know, he's a tough cover. You know, late in the game we tried to hit him, tried to keep him in one direction, but he's shifty. He turns the corner, gets downhill. Got to the line quite a bit in that third, I believe, 13 free throws, which once again for a guy who is a big-time scorer. He sees the ball go in, and he's playing with a level of comfort. So trying to guard him, defend him without fouling, keep him off the line would help.
Well, whether it's momo sauce versus crab cakes or the number 2 versus the number 2, there's a debate going on between DC and Baltimore. We're going to talk about it on the other side. On the Baltimore side, yeah, we're just post-game live. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Wizards Post-Game Live. Today, time for us to take a look back at our bold predictions powered by Greenberg and Betterman. Go to gblawyers.com and feel better. We said Denny Avdia is going to finish with a double-double tonight. By we, I mean the crew. We're wrong tonight. Denny finished with 3 and 9 again. Greenberg and Betterman, gblawyers.com and feel better. When we talk about the DMV basketball scene, you kind of have to spread the scope up to Baltimore, and that includes the home of our very own Will Barton.
Here's Barton. Oh! He got a body at Cap One Arena. Will Barton. East Baltimore, you hear it?
You was getting down in one of the early games, and I said during the broadcast, I said, East Baltimore, stand up. And the dude on Twitter hit me up. He's like, man, what you know about East Baltimore? I said, man, Thrill taught me about East Baltimore.
Yeah. Baltimore City basketball, I think it's some of the top basketball around. It's very competitive. It's hard. The climate you're playing in is kind of tough to play in. And if you can come out of Baltimore City basketball, you can play anywhere.
They play very hard, and they never give up, never give up. They play all day, all night, and they practice even harder.
Don't lose that grit and that grind, because that's the identity of Baltimore basketball.
Tell us about Will Barton's first experience in basketball in Baltimore.
His uncle bringing basketball and the football to our home and throwing it up and said whichever one he get, him and his brother, that's the sport he'd play. So, of course, he gravitated to the basketball and started dribbling that ball from the age of 4, never putting it down, sleeping with the basketball night after night.
I just gravitated to it. I remember my mom, like last year, sent me a picture. I was little, I probably was about 2 years old, and she holding me on her lap, and I got a basketball in my hand, like a little blue basketball. I just loved it. I don't know. I don't remember seeing anybody play or watching TV at first. It just, like, ever since I could just remember, I just always had a ball in my hand.
Will Barton's upbringing in Baltimore, he's got a toughness about him, and he gets that toughness from his mother, Miss Karen. There's no doubt about it. She's instilled that discipline, that toughness, that drive that Will Barton has. So his mother deserves all the credit.
He did it. He said he was going to do it. And I'm so proud of you, Will Barton.
And here's Will the Thrill. All net. East Baltimore, stand up.
He's a B-more kid. Plays like he's from B-more. No basketball. You know what that is.
What are you and Will Barton teaching these young men as guys that came from Baltimore about the toughness, about them knowing the game, etc.?
I think the first thing that we teach is that toughness component. It's a very competitive town. It's a very gritty town, and we represent that, I think, within our program. No handouts, no favoritism. The accountability is there. We talk a lot of trash, but we also teach, though. We teach it at a high level.
I think he always go back to himself. He hasn't forgotten about him being a young kid just wanting to play ball all day long. So now he's given little Wills opportunity to play basketball all the time. But that's him. They just little Wills playing basketball.
It's always been a dream of mine to make it to the NBA. Even when I was young, that was the plan, to make it and then be able to start my own youth basketball program so I could give back. I remember before I started traveling for basketball, I didn't know nothing else but my block. And you start seeing, different places, how big the world is. Your attitude, your mind start changing. You start wanting more for yourself. So I wanted that for the kids.
I'm really proud of Will. The young man that I remember seeing Will Barton and who he's become now. I'm just so darn proud of Will Barton, and it's a real privilege and honor to be able to coach him.
Anything you want to say to the young people watching what they should learn from Will Barton?
Once you get to a certain place in life, don't forget where you come from. Don't forget your roots. Don't forget the people that helped you get there. Do not turn your back because you got to a certain place in life and you've forgotten where you come from. Don't ever do that.
Coach Mello, Muggsy Bogues, Juan Dixon, Sam Cassell. I can keep going. There's a ton of players in the NBA for Baltimore. What is it about BMO that creates talent that's good enough, great enough for the NBA?
You know what it is, and I always put it with the DMV. You put the Catholic League of Baltimore and D.C. together, it's the best in the country. Richmond's got a lot of good players, but Baltimore's got a little bit. Look, Haywood Highsmith is playing for the Heat right now. He went Division II out of Baltimore.
Tell him, Coach.
I mean, you quickly played in Baltimore, John Carroll High School, for the record. Rudy Gay went there.
Yep.
What I noticed, the first thing Gary Williams and I said was, we went to see Keith Booth. We were changing the program, Rodney Elliott. But there's 20 kids in there. You're like, he could play for us. So he's an undersized guy. He's a big. They play a different style, whether it's the Dome or in Dunbar. Don't ever forget Georgetown was built with Reggie Williams.
Right.
Okay, who was a Dunbar guy. You know, you can go down the line of guys that have played, David Wingate and all those guys at Georgetown, and Shanta Rogers and them at GW who went to the NCAA. Baltimore loves DC, but we're competitive. But we got a little bit of a little style. We might be a little more gritty up there in Baltimore. We're not afraid to play outdoors still, by the way. But Baltimore, and Under Armour's taught me this well, is that all these people, I thought Kyle Kuzma said it best, you know when Baltimore comes to town in an AAU event or a high school event, you better be ready to play. And it's not just one guy. There's a lot of different places. Haywood Highsmith, look him up. He starts for the Heat now. Went to Division II school. He went to Curley High School, which is a smaller high school. Doesn't matter. He got that be more toughness.
There's certain cities that are just gritty like that. Baltimore, Memphis, St. Louis, certain cities just got to grind.
Yeah, we love basketball.
That's what it's all about. Coach, I appreciate the breakdown on Baltimore. Of course, we'll be having our whole DMV action on the 21st. But right now, I want to get to our FanDuel Best Bets, where at FanDuel you make every moment more. Taking a look back at some of our best bets. If you'd have said Kuzma would have had the first basket tonight, I would have been jealous because I ask this every night. The $10 bet would have won you $50. And Kristaps Porzingis +4 when the 3 department would have been +600. Wow. $10 bet will win you $60. Boy, oh boy, that's a lot of numbers. But of course, right now, customers can get their $150 in free bets guaranteed if you put down a $5 bet. So make sure you download the FanDuel app right now and make every moment more. With that being said, Kristaps and his three-point shooting. Matter of fact, not just him, Coach. The Wizards as a whole. You and I talked about the struggles they had in the first half. In the second half, still struggling overall, but better shooting out of the Unicorn and out of Kuzma.
Look, you saw Thibodeau call timeout because he jab-stepped Porzingis, and then he hit the 3, and Thibodeau's like, he's going to do that. He's a Unicorn. They had a couple, and Rui's 3 went in and out. Rui's 3 went in and out to cut the game to 1 with 8 seconds left, and that's, by the way, free throw shooting is a lot different when you're up 1 with 8 seconds left as opposed to being up 3 or 4 with 15 seconds left. So it was a good look. Rui is taking a little while to get going tonight, and Rui is so important. He's just been playing at such a high level. But once again, when Beal comes back, and Monty Morris just came off a good game. Monty Morris just played well. Their point guard had 33 Brunson. Our point guard couldn't play. Now DeLon Wright steps in and Goodwin's still young. We were talking about Jalen Brunson. That guy led the Mavericks. It wasn't just Luka Doncic. He got the Mavericks to the finals of the Western Conference. That's a tough matchup with no Monty Morris. But just come back and beat the Warriors. Everybody keep getting healthy. And the Knicks on Wednesday is critical because we need Beal back.
It isn't one of those. Thank you for reminding people about the schedule. We will see this team once again. It's happened a couple of times this year where you see them, and within 7 days to 8 days later, you see them once again. But again, right now, new customers can get $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So download the FanDuel app now and start making every moment more. Coach, it was a Friday night in the Capitol, so of course, a couple of people that we might know. Hello, Wayne Rooney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to DC United. Thanks for hanging with us tonight. I like where he was at. He was
good coaching.
Yeah, he's a coach.
NBC Sports Washington. Your home of the Capitals.
Coach, I love when we go in the film room. Can we do one on Corey Kispert tonight?
He's really been playing well. I thought Corey Kispert, that's why they were leading at halftime. I mean, you know Kuz is the obvious answer. Second most important player in the first half, Corey Kispert. Remember, he really got better from his first to second year. He just had a tough ankle injury right before they went to Japan. He's come back from it. He's been a critical part of the success. And I just love him off the bench, but he's forced into a starting role because Beal's being out. But now look at cutting to the basket here. He's not just settling for threes, he's dunking it. He's got a little swagger coming to his game. He's coming into his own. He's very young. He's only been, he was at Gonzaga with Suggs and those guys when he went to the final game of the NCAA. But he, like Kuzma, is getting better, and nothing was given to him. They went this McDonald's All-American blue blood guy. Now, after catch, you're just going to make that. Starting to put a little more arc on his shot. He's really becoming confident in the way he plays in the NBA. And Wes, you do this more than I do. You got to have a little swagger and a little confidence and say, I belong here.
Come on.
And he's getting that. Kuzma's taking that to a whole crazy level, you know, being the 16th pick, being on the Lakers and all that. I think Corey Kispert's really getting a little bit tougher. I think he's adjusting to his role. He's taking people off the bounce. His better days are ahead of him.
Coach, you're absolutely right about the swagger department, because you've been in enough gyms to know you can smell it when a guy doesn't have it. Because you can smell a victim.
And you can tell he has it.
And you can tell when a guy has it. You're like, oh, he's got a little bit of
He's
that.
turning into a very good pick for Tommy Shepard and his staff. Really productive.
I love the way that he reads the offense. You saw in one of the clips you broke down how all the motion ran right. He was like, there's an entire Grand Canyon wide open on the left. Let me just stand out here. And like you said, you got to knock down that shot. But tonight, he had 10 in the first half, 3 in the second. The only 3 that he had was that 3 that he knocked down there in the second half.
Against one of the better defensive teams in the league. Nobody probably puts more emphasis than Thibodeau and the Knicks on defense. And they were going to shut him. That's where having Beal to spread out, Monty Morris to spread out. And I just thought the Gafford thing, you can throw it inside to Gaff, and he can score in there. And Gafford sets really good screens. That kind of shook the Wizards a little, not having so many guys and then Gafford go out.
Yeah.
But they didn't give up. They fought back. Porzingis came back. But stay with Kispert. Kispert, just watch his trajectory. He's going to take even a bigger step in the next year.
Well, I need to see a step happen before Monday, Coach, because you know who's coming to town and you know what they like to do. How important is Corey Kispert's three-point shooting going to be on a Monday afternoon matchup against the Warriors?
Yeah, I mean, Curry's coming. The guy revolutionized the game. Well, we have to match some of their threes, although you don't have to take bad threes because sometimes they can get you to take too many threes because they fire them. See, that's what I'm talking about. That drive right there, he's added that. He didn't have that last year.
Right.
You know, and he's tall enough to play defense. He's 6'5", 6'6" for legit and bare feet. So he can play a little D. See, cutting to the basket and dunking it. Like, he's got, look, he's a little, Klay Thompson was not a household name.
Nope.
He went to Washington State when Tony Bennett was the coach there. He played defense. He was up, hey, nobody, I've never been there, but Washington State's where he learned how to play defense and become a good player. Klay Thompson took a little time to turn into a perfect three-point shooter, cutting without the ball. He's always been a good defensive player. I look at Corey Kispert. I'm not saying he's going to be Klay Thompson, but he's heading in that direction.
If you want to be in that neighborhood, I get it. You might not have to live in the same house, but at least in the same neighborhood, we can all subscribe to that. And especially in the league where it's built for three-point shooting, you got to have a guy like Corey Kispert on your roster. But as I mentioned, Monday, make sure you mark your calendar. All right, it's MLK Day. We're going to do a very special day in honor of the legacy of Dr. King, and that includes a 2:30 pregame live for Wizards and Warriors on NBC Sports Washington. Welcome back to Wizards postgame live. Final score 112-108. Wizards take a loss on a Friday night, but Kyle Kuzma gives you 40 points in 40 minutes. And here he is in the postgame locker room discussing his usage for the evening.
It's just 40 minutes for you. How do you feel physically coming out of a game like that?
Amazing. Feel great.
You mentioned just, teams are throwing different defenses at you. That's something that Brad has talked about, for the past few years for him. I guess, does he try and give you any advice or anything like that on how to adapt to that?
I mean, this is all new for me. This is the first time in my career I'm having a role of, this high of a usage. So, I'm learning on the fly. I'm learning pretty fast too. So I'm a student of the game, and I understand. And I played with some great players, so watching them, understanding how teams guarded them, I'm kind of seeing those kind of things right now, especially when we have guys hurt. But it's all about just watching film and just believing in yourself, plain and simple. So.
Coach, I would be foolish to expect another 40-point performance on Monday. That'd be foolish. But I do want to see him bring whatever he's got to the table once again.
I think he'd rather win than score 40.
Fair.
Knowing the guy.
Fair indeed, and I think that's what we want out of him. I know that's a full schedule we've got on Monday. Remember, that's a 3 o'clock tip, 2:30 pregame live. But you also got something else going on that day, too.
Yeah, Hofstra Towers at noon on NBC Washington.
Look at that.
On a very important day. Chris Miller and I talk about every time we went to Memphis, I took my team to MLK, where the Lorraine Hotel, or Atlanta, to where he grew up. It's such an important day, so you got to quit talking and start doing. That's what he said.
That's what it's all about. Couldn't have asked for a better closing to the show from head coach Jimmy Patsos. On behalf of our great crew and staff here at NBC Sports Washington, for Coach, I'm Wes Hall. Enjoy your evening. We will see you on Monday at 2:30 for Wizards Pregame Live for Wizards Warriors. Until then, be well, be safe, DC, above all.